So, guys, here is Prophet Isa El-Buba, like he came with fire. The only man of God that we have in Nigeria right now. You guys know that he is fully involved in this ongoing protest, my people. He's here not just to criticize Tinubu. He said what Tinubu needed to do before his speech. Like he said a lot of things. Yesterday, Senator Shomole said the purpose of this protest is to call for a military takeover. But Prophet Isa El-Buba is here to tell him the bitter truth, because these our politicians, they didn't even know what Nigerians are going through. They are still living in denial. And even some people from APC came out and said that those people holding Russia or military flag, they are not Nigerians. This to show you that this government, they don't even know what they are doing. They are just confused, honestly. Let me allow you guys to listen to what man of God said here.
Prophet, you led the protest, it was reported, in Jos, Plateau State. As a prophet, the expectation is that you preach messages of love, unity, even hope, which President Tinubu has joined, saying he's a hope champion. But you led a protest against the state. Can you explain why you have chosen that option? And then now you are here physically with us in Lagos. It looks like you abandoned the protest. The protest was supposed to be August 1 to 10. Were you persuaded by President Tinubu's address to abandon the protest and leave Jos and come to Lagos?
Well,
those two issues.
Let me answer that last one before I get to the first one. I haven't abandoned the protest. I believe that you've seen that there was curfew that was declared on the plateau, and also I have some meetings with some of the leaders here in Lagos that we need to sit down and look at the whole situation, and also on how we are going to keep the fire burning until we get things right. And so I'm here specifically to be able to strengthen the hands of men and women that are also willing to fight and to sustain the fight until we recover.
Brought the Plateau spirit to Lagos.
Yes, because Plateau stood out. By the grace of God, we were able to lead the protest without one soul, without losing one soul, without a breakdown of law and order. And so it stood out in all the protests in the country. And everybody was calling on the Plateau model and template on how they need to follow what we did on the Plateau. So let me come back to the first one. The first one, I'm a prophet by calling. And if you look at the calling of true prophets are restorers of values. True prophets are people that raise the standard of what a society needs to look like. True prophets are men and women that restore certain truths to the society and to its leaders. True prophets are men and women that can look up to the eyes of anybody who is doing what is wrong and confront the person without bending down their eyes. True prophets are not materialistic, and they are not people you can buy their conscience. They are emotionally detached or separated from people that will manipulate them for anything. They actually stand for the purpose of God on earth, and they also present the needs of humanity to God. So they stand in between, and that means that they are there for the defense. For instance, the Bible says that Jesus Christ came into this world in order to redeem humanity from captivity. And if that is what Christ came for, to redeem us from captivity, for this purpose, the Son of God was made manifest.
Prophet, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, sir.
It's the same Bible.
Yes,
this
sir.
is the main textbook.
Yes, sir.
Romans 13, verses 1 to 3 says that the people should submit to the governing authorities.
Yes.
Do you object to that section of the
you have
Bible?
to understand the context of that scriptures. What is the meaning? Why did that scripture? The scriptures there did not say we should cover the iniquity of leaders. But the scriptures there is saying, look here, you sustain institution by invoking the power of God. Now, anything that contravenes the constitution or the institution of God's word, you are meant to go against it. That's why Paul, the same Paul who gave that admonition, said in the book of Timothy, what did he say? He said, all scriptures is given for instruction, for admonition, for correction, for rebuke, and for righteousness.
All right, sir.
Okay, so what we are called for is to correct, is to exhort, is to lift up the standard of system and society for the benefit of the people. That's why you're a shepherd. You're a shepherd not to see the people go the wrong way. You're a shepherd in order to guide the people on the right path.
All right. Okay, great. And thank you so much, sir, for Dr. Bati is a Bible college scholar as well, even though he did not graduate, but he went to Bible college. But I wanted to ask you something yesterday, and I'm glad that one of the leaders of the protest is with us in the studio. Senator Adams Oshomole was with us yesterday, and he said that the protests had no leaders, had no people, no faces, and so it's good to see your face. But he also mentioned that it was about ending this government, not about poverty, and I want you to speak to that. Was that what you were agitating for in Jos? Were you trying to take out the president from office in terms of ending bad governance? And then if that's not the case, I'd like you to also speak to your statement where you said that the president and the National Assembly should stop living lavishly and be sensitive to the people. What would that look like? Was it reflected in the president's speech?
Let me bring you to this. I think this is one of the things that is really, really getting me hard and hot within me. I've observed in this country that we love to sit on the chair of deception and lies. And I'm being very frank with you. Most of the political class, I say most, and that means 90%, come to a stage where they feel they can lie on the people and deceive the people or manipulate the people. Now, let me give you this about this protest. I never knew there was even any plan by anybody. I was in Warri having my conference. I was on a national tour. And I was going from state to state by road. I want to see the state of the nation, so that when we are praying, we know that we are praying specific issues. And I tell you the truth. I've never seen Nigerians in pain like the way I've seen them this time. I've never. When I confronted the former president, I confronted him because I told the nation. This time around, I went on a tour road and I saw the state of the nation. I was in Warri, and God spoke to me to confront the government, to do things quickly and put things right. People are suffering, and there are things that just ordinary let me use the word, ordinary mind should be able to tell you. I'm not well educated, but at least there are simple things that an ordinary person should know. Short-term, mid-term, and long-term goal. What do we do with the pain that we've thrown the people into? This president threw Nigerians into uncommon pain. People are eating grass. People are eating leaves.
So would you say that it was not about ending the government, but writing?
It will amaze you.
Yeah, because
it will amaze you to know this, that
yes,
not one person has given 1 penny. Not one person has spoken to me. All my chapters across the country, when I called for the protest, I said, if the president do not act on alleviating the pain of Nigerians, we will get on the street. That was when, after that broadcast, a group of young people from Kano, Sokoto, Kaduna, Borno, and all of that, on the Twitter space, over 110,000. I got in there and I heard what the young men were discussing. And that was when I knew that, yes, the North is ready to bring about a change that has never been.
Over hunger and
the level of poverty and suffering in the land and insecurity.
Okay.
All right.
So you've said all of this, but let me put forward some positions, and I'm sure you can react to it like the government will have put forward. The government is now talking about the fact that foreign forces are trying to take over the nation, which is the Russian flags being peddled around. They are also talking about the fact that they have done a lot, like President Tinubu said. He has given this, he has given that, he has given 570 billion to the states and all of that. I'm sure if a government spokesperson, when you said people were eating grass, if you're a government spokesperson over here, it will be like, oh, vegetables is a form of grass. Probably that'll be their reaction. I'm just hazarding a guess. The government is now saying where is my iniquity? And that's the last question I was asked. So where is the iniquity of President Tinubu? Can you show it to us?
Number one, I want to say that there's no any international. From what all I know, there's no.
But they've arrested some Polish people. Look at the Russian flags. Look at the Russian.
Now, I'm going to come on the Russian. I'm going to come on the Russian flag.
They've arrested the tailor and all of that, and they're saying people are trying to take over the country.
No, there is none. I just gave you the background of mobilizing the nation for this process.
That you know of.
There is none. There is none that I know of. That's number one. Number two, the entire. Let me tell you, one of the days on TikTok, they were having a meeting. There were over 1 million people in that space discussing the state of the nation, and they were all young people, no foreign. I tell you this, the entire protest you see, nobody has given a dime. In one of the days, I was just leading the protest.
There was a freeze account of some people. They said foreign
influence
money.
We don't know about that. It's so surprising to me to hear that people were donating with money and sending from abroad and all of that into Nigeria. In one of the protests, a young man came up the stage and took 5,000 and said he's donating to buy water. Another lady went and brought some bags of water. People were just bringing things. Another person, 1,000. I and my family, we were buying the drinks and the water. People were standing from 7 a.m. until 2 when I would dismiss them to go back home. I mean, nobody was crying of getting food because they said they are already...
How many people did you mobilize in Jos?
Oh, they were in there, tens of thousands.
Did you guys count them? Do you have a register of the people that came out?
And we didn't have the distance, but if you take something that spanned almost half a kilometer, that tells you the crowd. That tells
you mobilized all of them?
Yes, we mobilized all of them.
The church mobilized all of them?
The church and the people. I mean, it's both Muslims and Christians. It will amaze you. The number of the Muslims, the wall of religious divide that politicians have been using all these years has collapsed in northern Nigeria. The plateau, you see, while the Muslims were having prayers, I would ask the Muslim brothers, okay, it's time for your prayer. And then the Christians will surround them, and the Muslims will offer their prayer.
So who are these people carrying these flags? If you say they are not your people.
These people you see carrying these flags, let me tell you about the North. That's my place.
Okay.
One thing about the Northerners is that the Northerners, let me use the word, they are driven by an ideology. When something comes into them and they see it's working, they will tend to pick it up and run with it. Most of these things came from this recent Niger. They are seeing Niger as working because Nigerians are now going into Niger to seek for refuge. So they are seeing Niger, they are seeing Burkina Faso working. So they are now demanding, I'll tell you the truth, they are now demanding that if the military rule can provide Niger
with a fence according to the constitution, the military, we can't afford to have anarchy.
Yeah, but that is the level of the understanding of the people.
Prophet, 2 questions. The first is, tell us about the role of Solomon Dalong, because we were told that he was your partner in leading the protests in Plateau State. And then, secondly, the other question I wanted to ask you, respond specifically to President Tinubu's address. Are you satisfied with the address, or do you believe, like some other people who were involved, civil society groups who were involved, that the president was delivering beautiful nonsense, to quote Omoyele Sowore?
Let me, Mr. Chief Solomon Dalong is an amazing soul, I tell you. He's an amazing, amazing soul. I mean, he got to know about the broadcast and that I made in Warri. And when he got into these spaces, he discovered that the young people were discussing about that broadcast. And so that got him passionate about, okay, if this is it, he's going to be part of it. And I tell you, he has done a lot in shifting the minds of the Northerners, majority of the Northern youth, from the violent part of protest to a peaceful part of protest. He's a great soul. Number two, he came out to apologize to the Nigerian people that I was part of a government. We promise you that this is what we're going to do. But I feel so bad that we did not deliver, and I'm sorry. And he apologized before the entire crowd. That is what leadership is all about. And I tell you, if we can have few...
That's not Tinubu, that's Buhari.
Yes, that's Buhari, but he was part of a government. He was part of APC. This was what they promised, but this is what they brought on the people. So one thing with leadership is to own up your irresponsibility or your failure. Let me come to the presidential address. I mean, that was, to me, that was out of point. I was expecting, Mr. President, there is no protest that has given such a long notice like this protest. And I was expecting the president to come out, let me give you this, on 4 things, quickly. Number one, my government, I have heard your cry, my government immediately will work on the subsidy, the reinstatement of the subsidy for the next 6 months. While we fix the CNG kits and what have you, the convertible centers across the nation. That's number 1 point. I'm giving directives that in the next 7 days, you can take me on ABC. All right? On agriculture, I am instructing the Minister of Agriculture immediately to deploy all the instruments that are required. Number one, there are crops that you can grow them in 1 month. There are crops you can grow them in 60 days. There are crops you can grow them in 90 days. Cassava of 90 days, rice of 90 days, corn of 90 days, apart from the vegetables. Apart from the land where we are having issues with security, there are still land where people can cultivate not GMO product, but our real agricultural plants or products. And so in the next 3 months, Nigerians, you can take me up. We're going to have this number of food supply. I am instructing the military and the armed forces to give a cover to farmers, to protect them in the farms. That is what we were expecting. I heard that fertilizers were released. Sir, I bought 450 plots of land in the city of Jos in order to distribute to families to farm this year. I bought a bag of fertilizer for 40,000. I never saw one fertilizer from the federal government. And they said 200 trucks.
Did you see rice?
I never saw anything.
Rice.
I know nothing was there.
All right. Okay. So let me come in, and this is really important.
So
so the last two.
Yeah. Let me take you on the third one. The third one on the electricity tariff. This thing is biting hard on manufacturers and producers. And so what he needed to do is, okay, on the electricity tariff, we're withdrawing this tariff for this period of time. Until we get our acts together, then we're going to implement the electricity tariff. Number 4, what the president needed to do was quickly to instruct the armed forces to act on the state of security and then say, okay, we want 100 youths in every village, especially in the areas where we're having this insecurity issue. Because I want you to liaise with the 100 youths to secure this territory. That's all the president needed to do. Then number 5, on my cabinet, I am going to reject this cabinet. 85% of the members of the cabinet are non-functional. They are just wasting the resources. And the president needed to cut down on the cost of governance. For me, as the president of Nigeria, I'm cutting down on the total allowance. 50% of my allowance. It's not a poor man.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. I mean, thank you for outlining your demands and stating clearly some of the quick wins that the protest is hoping that the president would respond to. But I have 2 questions for you. The first one is that you say that this president has plunged us into poverty, but they would argue that it didn't start from now. A bad government. Right from the time of President Muhammadu Buhari, the economy was plunged into where we are today. And so they are just trying to mop up what they inherited. What would you say to this? Especially because you didn't protest during President Buhari's time. So why didn't you protest then when things were hard for Nigerians? And then in the first 1 year of the administration, you're protesting. That's one. The second aspect of the question is, are you getting support from the Christian community? You're a lone voice, at least at the moment, in terms of, but some people have said that, oh, if more Christians and pastors spoke out like this, then maybe we might see the change, because they have the ears in some parts of the government. They can speak to power directly. What do you have to say about those things?
Let me answer the second one. That's the office of the prophet. Sometimes the prophet do not go with the multitude. Sometimes you know that you're passionate about the state of the people and you go all out. Whether you have the support or you don't have the support, you don't wait for it. You declare the stand. Now, let me come back on the issue of the president is just 1 year.
So you're getting support. So you're working on your own.
Oh, I'm getting support.
Okay.
I'm getting massive. You can see the Christian.
Are we looking forward to hearing more voices rise up?
I trust God for that.
Okay.
No,
right.
this support is it in
No.
in dollar terms.
Nothing.
Because we have some accounts.
Nothing.
I've been receiving
not one
prayers.
naira. They can check my account. My accounts are there. It's all run by my family. Their accounts are there. Not one dime has come from anybody.
Are you mobilizing more Christian voices to come?
I'm mobilizing more Christian voices and Muslim voices. Because right now I have a lot of sheikhs who have moved away from what they used to know and what they used to teach. Now they are ready to begin to teach the right thing. The affliction you see, the massive, let me use, response from the Al-Majri is because of the wrong teachings some of the Islamic scholars gave. And so now we are uprooting that.
Fair point.
Okay.
So
okay.
The first
now the first question.
This administration saying that they inherited
Let me
bad
say this to
economy.
you. It's not Buhari's administration. The administration of Buhari is Buhari and Tinubu's administration. I can tell you that.
What, in the last 8 years?
Yes, because some of the ministers you see in there were given by Tinubu. Some of the parastatals were run by Tinubu. And remember, Tinubu was the leader of the party. That's why even in the second term, he came and said, this is the man. He went all out. This is the man that will fix the nation.
So he's responsible for how?
He's responsible. And let me take you this. If you're a leader, and you're eyeing a particular position and you want to take, even when you don't have it, you do your homework. I mean, it's open there for him to be able to know what's the state of the economy, for him to know the state of roads, for him to know the state of electricity, for him to know the state of security. And you plan, you sit down with think tank, men that will think through and bring out solution in number of days.
Okay, Reverend Buba, I get you. But let me also be brutally honest with you. A lot of people will say, most of the things you said just now, Tinubu's speech addressed it. He talked about CNG. He said we're going to make 1 million CNG kits available. He also went further and he talked about, and I'm trying to be government spokesperson here, which is playing devil's advocate. He talked about agriculture. He said he was going to cultivate 10 million hectares of land. Last year they announced 500,000 hectares. This year he says we're going to cultivate 10 million hectares. That's secondly. Moving further, you talked about electricity tariff. The question I'll ask you, Reverend, is where are they going to get the money to pay from? In a country where we are using our crude to borrow money, it's that bad now. Where are they going to pay for electricity tariff that's going to the trillions, which they said was a problem for them and they can't carry that on their books? As we speak now, the government already has 21 trillion in debts. You talked about rejigging the cabinet. Yes, granted, I give you that. He could have quickly done that. Cutting the cost of government. Yes, I give you that and all of that. But they will also argue that they are now taking a supplementary budget based on foreign exchange variations, and that's why they are bolstering the budget. So they are saying we are doomed. You are saying they can do better. What's the argument here?
Let me give you. When did they promise that they were going to supply the CNG kits?
No, that promise, Reverend, in all fairness to you, it's been long. In fact, the promise has been since the days of Buhari.
Okay, all right.
The president said 5 million.
Okay, they promise you, let's assume that the president came on board and did what he did, the wrong policy that he threw to the Nigerian people and threw them out of balance. He made the promise, let's assume in the month of June. This is now August 2024. Not one kit have we seen.
No, they will also argue with you that they've seen some CNG buses.
We haven't seen, sir. I mean, I advise this government.
There's a presidential initiative on CNG.
No, sir.
Some buses have been deployed. In fact,
where?
They went to check some CNG buses that they were building in a plant in Lagos.
Where?
And some other parts.
Okay.
Like we've heard of CNG use.
But we haven't seen anything
Maybe
in
not
the law.
enough.
We haven't seen
okay, you've not seen anything in the
I
law?
haven't seen
You're
anything.
sure about that? Okay.
All right. Now those convertible kits are not something that are like aircraft engine that you will have to go and place an order.
And recently they made a donation in Sokoto to some public transport owners. Yes, in Sokoto.
What donation?
I think about 100 or more than 100 CNG kits for their buses.
Well, we haven't. I have told you this. I have gone. I traveled to the entire northern states. I went state by state. I haven't seen one.
Okay.
Now, this is over 1 year. These kits are not things that will take you more than 3 months to import them and bring them into the country. It's nowhere. Now they said they're going to the agricultural thing. You said how many?
They're going to cultivate 10 million hectares of land.
How many hectares of land have they cultivated since they've been in office? I just gave you that there are
last year they announced 500,000 hectares.
Okay. So did you see the 500,000 hectares? Okay. Now you have plants you can plant in 1 month. Okay. You have corn you can grow in 60 days. You have cassava. Okay. Cassava is the common man's food.
Prophet.
I'm coming, Mr. Ruben. Cassava is the common man's food that you can cultivate in 90 days. Now, between then and now, this government would have cultivated 3 times. That would have flooded the market and crashed hunger in this country.
Okay, prophet.
So the fact is that promise is one thing, doing is one thing.
Prophet,
so, yes, sir.
To summarize, I know many prophets in the southern part of Nigeria. It's a great privilege to meet you. Tell us, who is Prophet Isa El-Buba? And second, is this Christian versus Muslim? Because Muslim ticket was a big issue in the lead up to the 2020 elections. Are you fighting Tinubu because you are a Christian leader and you think Christians are being unfairly treated? So is it Christian versus Muslim?
Not at all. Yes, in the first instance, when growing up to the elections, I was against it because I believe in equity. I believe in justice. Isa El-Buba is the son of El-Buba Sadiq. My father was a statesman. My father fought and stood for humanity. He was in Burma, laid down his life to secure humanity. My father came back as one of the most honored royal officers, and when he came back, my father served this country and served it so well that we were not allowed to touch a dime of what belongs to government. My father would rather allow us to suffer, and he was an officer.
No, talk about yourself.
I'm talking about where I'm coming from, because you know about me from where I'm coming from. All right, you know the character of the person from his foundation. That is El-Buba, and I am a Kanuri Chupri by tribe. From Maiduguri, I'm a father of sons and daughters. I'm a grandfather of 8 grandchildren. And I'm the leader of the prayer movement called Ebomi in Jos, and the convener of the Initiative for a Better and Brighter Nigeria. I am a Nigerian that want to see a Nigeria work. I believe in the new Nigeria. I believe that people need not to go through what they're going through right now. This country is extremely blessed. But I tell you the truth. There are a class of elites that have bonded a covenant that they will not let this country rise. And I have a mandate. I have a mandate to make sure that this country rises. For the past 4 years, I've not traveled to the United States. I've shut down my trips. I've shut down my trips to Europe because I can't be preaching to people in a foreign land about the greatness of the grace of God, and right in my country, things have been messed up.
All right. Well, thank you so very much, Prophet Isa El-Buba. You brought the fire. Holy Ghost fire.
You want to say what a prayer for Nigeria?
Yes, I will want to. I want every Nigerian to know that we have a hope. And all Nigerians, you know that nobody can heal a nation except you. Stand up and defend your right to know that this country belongs to you. Don't be intimidated by anybody. The time of change has come, and we must all rise to protect our government and protect our institution. May the Lord be with you. May the Lord bless you.
We are neutral here, Prophet. This Arise station is non-partisan, non-religious. We are completely neutral.
But it will amaze you that the Muslims in this protest demanded for the prayers to be offered, and we prayed in Christian religion, and then on Friday we prayed with the Muslims.
In the churches and the mosques. But here we are non-partisan, non-religious.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your continuous support and prayers for Nigeria off air. Thank you.
Wow, this is fire indeed. What a great and fearless man of God that we have here. My people, he just said it as it is, and he spoke truth to the power. How I wish that our men of God can come out and support this man. Like, it would have been better, honestly. Like, during this protest, how many of them did he see, my people? This man has been involved from day one up to now. Like, may God bless him. This is the kind of people that we need in Nigeria, especially when it comes to Christianity. So, my people, that is it. I don't know what you think about what a Prophet Isa El-Buba said here. I would love you guys to leave your thoughts in the comment section as always. Please, if today is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, share it as well. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'm going to see you guys in my next update. Goodbye for now.
Welcome to Shamras News TV.